So Nintendo didn't ruin The Legend of Zelda. They just quietly replaced it with something else these last couple of years, this last decade. Because modern Zelda isn't the marriage of story and gameplay that defined the franchise for decades anymore. It's gameplay first, gameplay second, and then with the promise of a story dangled in front of you like a carrot. And Nintendo knows exactly what they're doing. They market these games like they're going to be some emotional epic, and then deliver a sandbox with cutscenes sprinkled on top like seasoning. Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, Age of Calamity, all of these three cases are just masterclasses in potential and case studies of how it was wasted. I mean, let's start with the 2017 Switch trailer for Breath of the Wild. This trailer is legendary. It's cinematic, it's emotional, and it's structured like a story with rising tension, character arcs, and stakes. It makes you think that you're about to play a Zelda game where Link fails, Zelda breaks, Hyrule falls, and you're going to live that tragedy before waking up 100 years later or something. It moves you. It promises weight. But the actual game is just a physics sandbox with flashback scrapbook taped together to the side. The trailer shows scenes that exist in the game, but they're not married in any kind of way. Like, sure, you move through the game and the world, and then you reach a location and you get a flashback, but that's not the same as really being in the knit and grit. Breath of the Wild is a great game, but the emotional beats just aren't there for the player, as if you were to actually experience it. It's a great game with a lazy story. It's not minimalist, it's not subtle, it's just like absent. And that's the real problem. Nintendo sells you on a story-driven Zelda, then delivered on a gameplay-driven Zelda wearing the story's clothes. This isn't nostalgia talking. I mean, Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, Twilight Princess, even the one that came out on the Wii that not a lot of people liked but have come back and said that it was decent. These games weren't just fun, they were narratives as well. They had arcs, they had themes, they had emotional consequences. I mean, Majora's Mask is literally a meditation on grief. Twilight Princess is a character drama about identity and loss. Ocarina of Time is a coming-of-age tragedy disguised as a hero's journey. Link literally gets robbed of a childhood, and you feel that weight throughout the story, especially the ending. These games didn't just give you a world to explore, they gave you a reason to explore it. Modern Zelda games just give you a world to explore and hope you won't notice the story is missing from it. Breath of the Wild's story structure is fundamentally flawed. Flashbacks aren't inherently bad, but they are inherently passive, especially if there is no meat to supplement. If you're going through a game and there's an actual story played out within it, and there's flashbacks as supplementary material, that's okay. But you don't experience the fall of Hyrule, you don't experience Link's failure, you don't experience Zelda's struggle, you watch them like a museum exhibit. Honestly, you could go through the whole game, skip every cutscene, not go back and watch them through the Sheikah slate, and nothing about your experience would really change. Imagine if the gameplay actually opened with Link losing. Imagine playing these battles, experiencing this collapse, and being filled with dread as an enemy that you just couldn't beat outsmarts you, and there's nothing you can do about it. That is gripping. That alone elevates like an entire narrative, and that could be, I mean, that arc could be in the first 4 hours of the game, and then you go and experience the rest of the game later with actual story pushing Link along rather than you just like holding the stick forward. Instead, Nintendo chooses the laziest possible structure. Here are 12 to 14 cutscenes. Watch them in any order. Good luck feeling anything, and your story is just curated in the worst imaginable way. And then Tears of Kingdom arrives a couple years later. Ganondorf returns. The real Ganondorf returns after a decade. The opening cutscene that we get as a trailer is incredible. The marketing promises a dark, more story-driven adventure, and then it's Breath of the Wild again. The same structure, the same collect the memories mechanic, same champions but not really kind of system, same emotional beats just with different characters swapped out. I mean, the cutscenes are literally copy and pasted, same dialogue and everything, except it depends on what order you got them in. That is That is lazy. That is the epitome. That is the epitome of just pure laziness. When you can watch these cutscenes in any order, you do not have a story. You just have a playlist. And the actual plot of Tears of the Kingdom is thinner than Breath of the Wild somehow. I mean, Tears of the Kingdom, gameplay wise, is a great game. Breath of the Wild, a great game, but these stories are lazy, and I just wanted more. And it's just extremely disappointing. Age of Calamity isn't quite a Zelda title, but it's the perfect example of Nintendo's storytelling problem when it comes to Zelda. It's basically all of this, but worse. Because the game actually promises and implies that you're going to experience the fall of Hyrule. Literally, the first opening words is, you will experience what happened 100 years ago. The game was kind of somewhat marketed as canon too. I saw a couple interviews that it was considered to be canon, and I think fans were ready to see the tragedy that shaped Breath of the Wild after it was robbed from them whenever you actually got to play the game. And then it has time travel, alternate timelines, a completely different ending than what was the start of Breath of the Wild. It's not the fall of Hyrule per se. It's a fan fiction alternate universe with Dynasty Warriors gameplay. I mean, and look, Age of Calamity has some great cutscenes. I liked the story that they chose to tell. I found it pretty engaging, even though I didn't find the gameplay to be that difficult for me. But it's the one thing that the fans wanted, the one thing that the trailer promised, and it was just Nintendo refused to deliver on. It's like they don't want the game to be dark, and that is exactly what this time period should be, as far as literally one of the only times that we see Link fail and then has to redeem himself later. Jumping from Ocarina of Time to Majora's Mask, they're both kind of have a melancholy feel to them, but Majora's Mask is about grief and the other one is about the loss of innocence. I find that to be entirely more gripping as you move through it with dialogue, not even cutscenes, but actual just dialogue, and you're reading it from, NPCs that you have to talk to, as opposed to watch these 14 clips in any order and piece it together the story whenever you feel like it. I just find that to be extremely lazy. And Nintendo has just shifted Zelda from a story-driven adventure series to a gameplay-first sandbox series. And that's fine. I think that's a valid creative direction, but at least market them like they did that Donkey Kong game. Donkey Kong's got no story aspect of it. It is very clearly a gameplay-centric game, but there's no need to pretend otherwise. But it's like they know that the draw of the backdrop of these games is too enticing. Like, they use emotional trailers, they use dramatic voiceovers, they use these scenes that imply character arcs that just don't exist. Like, sure, you can watch these clips. It's like watching an anime through reels. Like, yeah, you understand what happened, but it's not like you actually care about the characters. Like, they sell you the illusion of narrative depth while designing games that actively avoid it now. It's not malicious, it's not evil, it's just disappointing. The tragedy of modern Zelda isn't that the games are bad. They're honestly not. And that's kind of the problem. They're shifting away. I mean, media in general is shifting away from these meteor stories. The tragedy is that they could be masterpieces of both gameplay and story, and Nintendo just keeps choosing one over the other. I mean, imagine a Nintendo game where you play through the fall of Hyrule, Link loses, gets his ass destroyed, you wake up 100 years later, and then you have to redeem yourself. When the player loses, they feel that weight, as long as it's not contrived. They feel that weight, and the redemption that you feel moving through the game is stellar. That game would be incredible, especially from Nintendo. Like, they haven't had a true W as far as competing against outside of its fan base in so long. That would just be epic. But Nintendo keeps teasing these games with trailers and they just never make it.